second attack. He was claiming 3 terabytes of S3 file. He was claiming that he had databases and some other things. It's a lot of things here. So we also started checking. We want to know, we want to validate these guys. And like Asanat has mentioned, you will notice that he's ready to share this data after he has acquired it. So he's not even holding back. In the case of Remita, he was able to access a lot of data and he actually put them up for people to download. So these are some of the ones that were able to confirm. The 35K employee and customers email ashes, yes, we confirmed that, that these are validations. So our media organizations need to understand that they need to ask professionals questions so that you don't keep on spreading fake news. Some of the things I also want to validate was how was he even able to access the S3 bucket? What happened? And all of those things at this time, we did not have the same timestamp opportunity. So there was no Google Drive in this remitter situation. He just posted the screenshot like that. So we have to download it. There was no timestamp. But here and there are a lot of timestamp on what he posted. You know, I was telling you that we're looking for the timeline. This guy was 5 hours behind us. What we figured out was this guy was 5 hours behind us in the course of some of the timestamping that we were able to pick. And very clear, to be very clear, these images are some of the images he posted. I want to figure it out. This image you are seeing here is depicting the access key to an S3 bucket. But we have this hypothesis. You can't have access to this code if something had not earlier happened. So we want to know what happened. Is it that you got this source code from the S3 bucket, or you initially breached the repo and you now scan for the secret keys that are in the repo and you figure them out? In some of the source code that this guy gave out, there are a lot of hard-coded secrets, API secrets that are there, and this guy was able to scan and find some of them. So, but we are not so sure, was this data on the S3 bucket backed up there that this guy took, or this guy actually went into the repo and was able to gain an access to the repo? We are not having a strong confidence from some of this data that I have provided. But from what we've assessed, the damage that this very particular incident had, it's very critical, because the relationship between the ecosystem is, you know, like everybody's like this. We are leveraging each other's infrastructure. We are connected in one way or the other. And that is why when you are looking at those things, it became like how all of these things happen. The attackers claim 3 terabytes. I will give us a question. If you're an attacker and you have 3 terabytes of your victim, if you want to keep that 3 terabytes, that means you are there for expoundage. And you are ready to keep this terabyte in your place, in your storage, and be paying for them. So how will that benefit the attacker? We need to ask ourselves that question. The total S3 bucket might be up to 3 terabytes, which we could not also confirm. The only file size that we saw was this KYC service that had 588 gig of data inside of it. So outside of that, every other files here, we did not see the distance. And we don't have any evidence that this guy downloaded all of this data. So what we've also noticed that this guy used to do is to look for juicy things in your data that he can quickly use to blackmail you. We've validated that. So he will look for things that he can use to blackmail you. Sometimes he might as well have the access. So at this
So
point,
you're
if you
saying
wanted
he
to,
just stream the data?
yeah, so if you wanted to download the S3 bucket, the whole of the file, we are not saying it's not possible. We are not saying he could not do that, but we don't have that evidence from what he has posted. So he gave us the screenshot and he was pointing to the size, and he was pointing in all of these things that I blacklisted like this. They are backup repository files that we noticed that they are all from GitLab. That's why I blacklisted them, because some of them had some names that may still be used internally. But if you check further, he now brought out some sample informations. If you are posting something like this about a bank, like record of customers, it will put you under pressure to quickly understand. And now he wants you to do something. So he's showing this. is also trying to tell us that he had some extra access. But in between all of that, we're able to also pick some things together. So the CBN directed directions came for businesses in the space to do some self-assessment. The FMCID, that's the Federal Ministry of Communication, was like saying, oh, they want to set up a coordination council. These are the only official things that came out within the timeline. The other official thing that came up was the NDFC official statement on the 5th of April. But outside of
April.
that, we don't have any other official information. Every other thing online from this period had been more of like disinformation, misinformation. Everything was just going back and forth with each other. But if you check, on the 26th was when we figured out that maybe he might probably had accessed their repository. The confidence level we have on this is 20%. We don't know whether how he got the key, but the attacker was linking that to Remita, to Starlink. That's an interesting part I want us to know. What happened? Is there a relationship? We don't know. They both work in the same ecosystem. There could be some relationship. The attackers can be using that as a smoke screen. You have to be very clear. Sometimes not all what they say are very correct. They just want to push you around the bush. So they might be using that as a smoke screen. So we don't know. And he may also want to show that yes, he's the king truly by joining the information together. In 2, 3, 4 days, I was able to breach 2 of your bank. So I'm actually the king. So maybe that's what he's trying to build up there. But we could not figure out what happened, how he got that access. But immediately we noticed that information on X, we notified the SAT to notify them. And that was also on Sunday when he posted that. Then 2 days gap existed before the data became public on the dark web. That was from 28th to 31st. We did not see anything. This guy was just there, doing a lot of scraping, giving int on the X and all of that. And what are some of the actions that you don't even know where the attacker had done you bad? So as an organization, it will be difficult if you don't have the int to even act on. How are you going to know which place? But at the end of the day, what this guy listed at the end was that he was able to exfiltrate some of these backup files, which we are going to validate. I want you to take note of these names. The names of all of these three, these are databases that were backed up in the S3 bucket. So what this guy did was he took these three databases, and interestingly, all of these databases files that are backup, they are not encrypted. So he went ahead and restored the databases. And when he restored the databases, he now started having access to more information. And I'm going to show you now. You see all of these things. In those database files, there are 13 separate databases. These are different databases that are there. So in these databases, he was able to see some interesting files and he posted them himself. He posted all of these things. So we have to blow all those things out. Some of them had NIN, BVN, and all of that. But yes, the backup database was taken and he eventually open sourced it for people to download. It is not a joke. He open sourced these three databases for people to download. We don't even know the amount of databases in the other two backup. He open sourced the whole of their source code that he was able to gain access to. And you are going to see that. I believe that Asarat will explain that further so that we can be able to get a glimpse of what is happening. So